What's up, everybody? This is Lee Shush K9 Training back with a raw protection training session with my 1 year and 10-month-old working on German Shepherd Onyx. And this took place on February 21st, and it is now as of March 1st, as of the day of this voiceover. So just want to explain some of the things that have been going on. So we've been progressing a little bit in Onyx's protection phase. Right now we're starting him off in a relaxed plots position, and we're trying to get him to settle down before we go right into protection. And of course, I give him the word revere, and from there he's able to bark. And he used to have bad issues with spinning on the leash in order to lunge forward, but because he's matured a lot more, he hasn't been doing any of the spinning. Plus, my trainer has been instructing us to let Onyx move forward every time he bark. So of course he learned over time that, as long as I bark, I'll be able to move forward with the leash compared to, actually spinning in circles and stuff like that. So he's matured a lot. So he's been, a lot of the stuff he's been learning, over time has been paying off a lot. So right now we kind of got him doing not necessarily a bark and hold, but basically, well, I guess you can call it a bark and hold, because in his mind, he's holding Rob still in the blind. But obviously, he knows that, the more he bark, eventually, Rob will eventually move, and then he'll be able to get his bite on the sleeve. And I should mention now that Onyx was having a little bit of grip issues, and that's mainly because my trainer, me too, but my trainer didn't realize that we were using a different sleeve on Onyx. And it's just funny because these dogs, they get so used to doing certain things that they know when something might be slightly off. So what he was biting on is what he'll be biting. What he was biting on is what I believe he'll be biting in an actual trial. So right now we're using like what he's used to is I'm assuming a different, I know it's a different sleeve, but it has a different feel to it when he bites down on it. So he had a hard time gripping on this one. So my trainer instructed me to take this sleeve home and just let him bite on it so he can get used to it. But obviously not let him munch on it or anything like that, because points will get deducted off in an actual shush and trial if we sit there and let him munch on the sleeve. But just speaking of, Onyx maturing and stuff like that, he's been, getting a lot better with his bark. His bark is starting to sound less like a puppy and more like an actual adult bark, which is, of course, what we want. So, and of course, I knew that would come over time. It's just he had to grow and stuff. And his pursuit is, becoming a lot better too. Over time, what we'll just have to work on with him is just secondary obedience, which is, of course, getting him to calm down before we enter into protection. So right now you can see we pulled out a little, I guess you can say, barricade or gate here, and we have Onyx barking at our trainer, but this is basically another simulation of a bark and hold. And those gates are to keep Onyx in place as he's barking, because in the future he's going to have to run to the blind and bark at the helper. And of course you don't want the dog moving all over the place as he's barking. So that's a good mechanic to use for, these working dogs, to get them to bark in place. And Onyx has a habit of, slowing down in the bark. And it's because he's still trying to figure things out. He knows he has to bark in order to get Rob to move, but he's still figuring things out when Rob maybe sits still just a little bit longer. Which of course, all of this stuff is really just the dog just figuring things out. So, and as I said, this video took place on February 21st. So we actually got another session in with him yesterday, which was February 28th, because it's March 1st at the time of this recording. And he was already doing a bit better. And we actually introduced some new things to him too, which you guys will see in the second protection video. So, and as I always say, it's important for me to get, it's a couple of protection session videos with Onyx that I have recorded but just not posted, because I don't want to post everything, but it's just important for me to post some of this stuff so I can always document his progress, see how far he came, maybe document some things that we need to do better or things that I need to do better. And when I say we, I mean me and Onyx, because, of course, I'm his handler. And, of course, you know, how good he gets will, of course, well, I technically determine how good he gets because I'm the handler. So anyways, what you see Rob doing right now is simulating stick hit motions. You know, of course, the stick will come across the dog's shoulders, I guess you could say, or kind of over his head. And Onyx was a bit uncomfortable, so my trainer was telling me that I could, you know, simulate that while playing tug with him with a ball at home. Just kind of throw my hand over his head a little bit. And, you know, right now you see Onyx's grip a little bit more calm, but it's really just because he's a bit tired. And I believe it was later towards the end of this session that we realized we were using the sleeve that he wasn't used to. So we're going to switch sleeves pretty soon. But as I explained in other protection videos, it's very important for these dogs to have a calm grip. And anytime you see Onyx munching, we do what we can to get him to drop the sleeve as fast as possible and basically get him restart. Because you don't want these dogs to get used to munching. That's why these shushing dogs start off on cloths and stuff like that in the protection phase. That way, any chewing habits they have, they get it out with the cloth. You don't just automatically start a protection dog, a shushing protection dog, on a bite wedge. So this is the bite wedge that he's used to. So I believe he started doing just a little bit better. And right now you see me adding some leash pressure with the prong. And that's mainly because, you know, my trainers, you know, has been saying a lot, you know, Onyx will be 2 in April. So he's a lot older now. You know, this isn't a puppy. This is a grown dog. He still has a lot of mental maturing to do, but this is a grown dog. And once he understands what it is that we want him to do, that's when it becomes fair for us to add corrections and stuff like that. So anyways, this video is getting ready to wrap up. I have another protection training video coming right after this one. So, of course, stay tuned. And as I mentioned, it was just really important for me to, you know, document some of these sessions in order to get them on YouTube. So I believe we got one more. These are escape bites. So it's just Rob, which is my trainer's name. It's just him simulating what an actual helper would do in a trial during an escape bite. So this is our last little escape bite right here. Or I guess you can say this one will be a long bite. Or I think we did, well, no. All right, catch you guys later. That was the last part.